I'm back. Sorry it's been so long. I really did not intend to be out of commission for a month on this podcast, but life happens. And so I am thrilled to be back with this next episode. I have interviewed Charlotte Phillips of Rock Dance, who I'm really excited to share. I know I always say that, but I actually really am. I always am. But what I loved about this interview is that we went into talk about Charlotte's experience as an entrepreneur and a dance studio owner, which I can relate to because I have been both of those things. And, we have Ruby dancing at her studio and I've done photos for her. And so I have so much respect for her in that capacity. But what we also were able to talk about is her background and where she's from and why she's here and where she wants to go and her investment in her community, not just dance wise, but in the local community that she's a part of. And it's just so inspirational to talk to somebody like Charlotte who wants to invest in her business, but to make a larger investment in the lives of the people that it affects and the people that trust her. I'm really excited for you to hear about that. In addition, one thing that we were able to talk about that actually happened after I stopped recording was the topic of faith. And while when I first reached out to Charlotte regarding being a guest on the show and she expressed interest, faith wasn't at the top of the list of things that we were going to talk about, if on the list at all, to be honest with you. And it's something I've struggled with as I developed this podcast or even thought about it before it came to fruition. Faith is very important to me, obviously. It informs everything I do. That's why the podcast is titled the way it is. My life revolves around my faith. I'm hopeful that it bleeds through who I am and what I do. Not perfectly, of course. Hence the title of this podcast also, Jesus, Coffee, and Wine, because I say I need all three. But I really, it's something that I struggle with because I'd love to have that be thematic throughout the podcast, as I hope it is throughout my life. But also, I don't want to shy away from having conversations with people if that's not necessarily part of who they are. I personally believe we all have purpose and we were all created in the image of God and that He desires relationship with all of us. But that doesn't mean that I can't have a conversation with somebody or interview somebody that doesn't prioritize that in their life, whether now or yet or ever. But one thing that was really interesting is after we stopped recording, I did bring that up to Charlotte a little bit and just saying kind of like, hey, I appreciate you coming on. I know maybe you didn't know what to expect based on that element of my life. And she gave me what I deem an incredible compliment. And she said, I didn't necessarily know that you were a Christian. My experience with Christians throughout life hasn't always been a positive one, as many people have mentioned to me. And quite honestly, that's the same for me. My experience with Christians has not been all that positive throughout my life, but I've always chosen my faith. I've chosen my faith above and beyond and outside of the church. And I think a lot of times when people are disenchanted with Christianity, it's because of the people and because of the institution and not because of the God. So actually, I really appreciated her perspective on that in saying, I'm sure there's people listening or people that consider themselves Christians that would hate to hear that somebody didn't necessarily know they were a Christian. And I don't think by saying that, Charlotte was saying she thought I was the opposite. I think her point, and I know her point based on our conversation, was that I was not the typical representation of that kind of person in her experience in a very positive way. And I take that as the highest compliment because her words to me were so kind and so sweet. And she was very complimentary, which, I'm struggling to even say this because I'm not saying that about myself, but the compliment is so important because I think as we're talking about faith and we're talking about how we live out our faith, that's what we want people to see. And do we want people to see Jesus? Sure. And do I want people to come to know him because I know how wonderful he is and I'm so grateful for my salvation and I do want to spread the gospel and I do want to share that with other people and I do want to see other people live in peace and wholeness and happiness? Sure. But I also want people to see that I can live out my faith without having to just talk about it. And so I don't know, it was just a really, like, it was such a blessing to me to have that talk with her. And you know, as I'm saying this, maybe that is part of the blessing, that it was a private conversation. And I'm sure that I'm hopeful she wouldn't mind me sharing this now. I think maybe it was meant for just the two of us in the way it rolled out, but I'm grateful to share it as well because it meant a lot to me. And I think it's reflective of our conversation and the dynamic that we have as you know, as moms and business owners and honestly friends. And I consider Charlotte a friend. I'm grateful for her work in our community. I'm grateful for having met her and had the opportunity to work alongside of her, and look forward to doing that more in the future. I think you'll hear from her just the passion behind what she does, but also, you know, she has such a cool story. So without further ado, here's my interview with Charlotte Phillips of Rock Dance. I hope you enjoy. Charlotte, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you.
I feel like I'm in my, it's going to be backwards online, but I have my Christmas sweater on. You're in front of your tree. So I feel like this is like our holiday edition.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I would love for you to introduce yourself.
Okay.
And we just were chatting a little bit about all the things that make up who you are and all the things I'd love to talk about. But I'd love for you to kind of give a little intro, and then maybe we'll dive right in.
Yeah. So, I'm Charlotte, mom of two.
New mom of two.
New mom of two. I'm getting used to saying that.
Yeah, it's so great.
New mom of two. I am originally from England, and I moved to the States 11 years ago. I own a dance studio in Webster called Rock Dance.
Mm-hmm.
And this is our 9th season. So yeah, you know, doing all the things, business, mom. Yeah, doing it.
So let's start at the beginning. You said you moved to the States when you were 11 or 11 years ago. Sorry, 11 years ago. So what brought you here?
I met my husband.
Gotta love.
I know, but he's not American. He's Scottish.
Well, okay, you're gonna have to walk me through that.
And they're like, hang on, what?
Yeah.
So my husband, Jamie, he's now the director of a soccer club in Rochester. But originally, when we met, he was just coaching soccer at ESPN Center, which is owned by Disney.
Oh, yeah.
So he was working, doing like summer camps, things like that. And I came out really on a vacation. We knew like mutual people. And I was auditioning at Disney. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do.
Florida?
In Florida.
Okay.
Yeah.
Clarifying.
So it was very like in between, like didn't really know what I was doing. I was living in London at the time. I'd been dancing and just like kind of found myself in one of those like troughs of like, can't get out of it. Do I still want to do this? Am I still wanting to like keep putting myself out there? You know, no job security, all of that kind of stuff. So I was in a real like funk.
How old were you?
20.
I know I'm dating us, but. Okay, so at that point, had you gone to college, university?
Yep. It was called college, actually, the school that I went to. I went to Bird College, Doreen Bird College of Performing Arts in London. I got my bachelor's degree there. So I did performing for 3 years, stayed in London, did a few things, but again, just like really not getting the, you know, big, West End job that, you know, we all think we're going to get because we spent years of our life in a theater school. And yeah, so then I came out, I met my husband, didn't know he was going to be my husband. And he was just like, didn't understand why I wouldn't move here. Like,
how long had he been in the States? Because you said he's Scottish.
He's Scottish, had been coming out for like, I think it was his 3rd or 4th summer that he'd come to do this same like Disney soccer program thing. Okay. And when he was out, he was like out for like 13 weeks. So like big summer stint. Yeah. 2 years in a row. And yeah, he just, when we met and we got to know each other, he like didn't really understand why I wouldn't move here. And I kept saying, well, I'm in London and I'm this. And he was like, but you're not doing anything. You're not. And I was like, Amy. But yeah, he's just like a super like can-do guy. Like I didn't realize until I met him how much of a naysayer I was. Like, oh no, that'll never happen for me. Like, you know, like I wouldn't say it was negative, but maybe like I would have described it to you as being like a realist.
Yeah, it's so funny. I totally relate to that because I didn't realize I was and I will say I was very negative. That's just how I grew up. Everyone around me was just, it just happened to be kind of the way we talked about things. And I didn't realize that until I met my husband. You just
Yeah, just
realize,
like,
oh, I'm speaking in the negative more than
yeah.
I'm.
Or like he would say like, well, why not?
Hmm.
I never really had an answer, right? Like,
Yeah.
why can't you do that thing that you want to do? And I'd be
Yeah.
like, I don't really know why I can't.
Yeah.
I'm telling myself I can't, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm very close to my family, my mom and my dad. And so like, even though America was always an option to me, it felt like something that I would always usually say someday.
Yeah.
And then when I met him, he was just like, I mean, now it's funny to look back on. I'm like, what was I thinking? I'm not spontaneous. I'm so type A.
Yeah.
I'm a planner. And then suddenly I just called my mom. I FaceTimed my mom and I was like, so mom, I'm not coming home.
Oh my gosh. What did
And
she
like,
say?
she was like, okay.
I figured. I knew this would happen.
Yeah, I definitely was really nervous to call her before, like, because I thought she was going to be like, don't be so ridiculous, Charlotte.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she didn't at all. She was like, yeah, go for it. I think she knew I was not getting what I wanted out of living in London anymore. And I was on this like conveyor belt of needing to work to earn the money, to pay the rent, to stay in a city that was not giving me the answers I needed.
So to leave London and move to the States, did you move to Florida?
No.
Okay.
I moved right here, actually, to Honeoye Falls, Rochester, New York.
Got it.
So that was when he met me and he was like, I don't understand why you're not using that. I don't understand why, just come out here, try it, see what happens. You got to lose kind of thing. And then I kind of said, well, I think I kind of want you to stay. Like, I don't know what this is. And we've only known each other for like a few weeks, but I don't know. And he was like, yeah, okay, great. I'll stay. And it's so funny because like I'd been in long-term relationships before.
Yeah.
That had fallen out and not worked and whatever. But like suddenly after 2 weeks, I'm saying I'm going to move country for this guy. And I'm asking him to stay with me. And like what? Like what? Like, yeah, I called one of my girls.
The underdeveloped frontal lobe of a 23-year-old person. But it worked out.
Here we are. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Amy always says, when you know, you know.
It's so true. I believe that. I truly believe that, especially having gone through it a couple of times. I should have listened to myself back then, but I digress. Actually, speaking of London, I mean, I had never been, and we just were there this past fall, and I fell in love with it.
Did you love it?
Yeah, I loved it, and I didn't expect to. I didn't expect not to, but I just was like, oh yeah, we're going to go there for a few days and then we're going somewhere else. And it was kind of like, oh, that'll be cool. I haven't been there, but I loved it. Like, I can't wait to go back.
I miss it. And when I first moved here, because I moved to like such a cute little Gilmore Girls, Honeoye Falls.
Yeah. Oh, that's so true.
Isn't it? So Gilmore Girls. I was like, okay, I don't know about this. Like, I know it sounds so crazy, but like I missed the fashion. I missed like being able to like go anywhere at any time. People and like, like, I mean, going from any city to a small town is going to feel like that, but plus then culture shock too. So both. And I still now, whenever we go home, like if we can fly into London, I will, because and I still have friends there. So, but I love spending a couple of days there when we can.
I just loved it. Two things. One, I've always loved the royals. I don't know how you feel about them, but like I've just always been fascinated. Yep. So that was fun just to like go to Buckingham Palace and like do all of that. But just being outside of the touristy spots, just kind of being in the city, and we got an Airbnb, so we were kind of like able to just be in the areas that you wouldn't necessarily visit if you weren't staying there. I just loved all of it. And it just, I can't explain. We felt very safe everywhere we went. Now I know there's parts of every city, right? But I don't know. We felt it was great. So the two things I wanted to say, one is that they are fantastic with food allergies. So anybody with children with food allergies, everywhere you go, it is listed. And if it's not, they were very accommodating. And I think it's even in just the response to the request or the questions was so much kindness. And I think that took me by surprise. I don't know why. I didn't expect everyone to not be kind, but there was a warmth there that I didn't anticipate. It was great. So that's my PSA for allergy families. Go to London.
Go to London. It's a big trip to go for a meal, but go to London.
Well, we had a great experience with food and the allergy aspect especially, but I thought it was great.
That's interesting. A lot of American people are like, oh, British food is so bland. And I'm like, where are you eating?
No, we had fantastic meals, actually. Yeah. I will tell you, I actually think the meals we had in London were better than the meals we had in Paris. Maybe it's because I just don't eat like heavy.
She's controversial.
I know. I'm just looking for viewers. I'm just kidding. I really feel that way. Anyways, I digress. The other thing I was going to say is this is kind of food related, but did you ever have root beer before you came to the States? Okay, this is so fascinating to me. This is such a dumb little thing. But we were having lunch, I guess, at a pub, and our waiter, I gave Ruby a lollipop because that's what good parents do for 1-year-olds to keep them quiet.
100%.
And it was a root beer flavor, and he like said something, chocolate, or because it was brown, and we were like, no, it's root beer. And he's like, what is root beer? And so I was like, I have another one. I don't know if he ever tried it. He was probably like, these are very strange people. But I didn't know that was like such an American thing.
Yeah, root beer float. Yeah, I would think of that as being American. There is something similar called dandelion and burdock. Strange, I don't know. But I think I'd be interested. We'll have to Google. It's kind of like the thing, like a crumpet over an English muffin. Yeah. What's the difference?
Yeah.
I don't know what the exact difference is, but I think I would say that's similar.
What is it? Dandelion and what?
Dandelion and burdock, it's called.
Okay, well, now I'm going to have to go on Amazon or somewhere and order it and like do a taste test.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I loved London. So
yeah,
I can't imagine that you don't miss it and don't want to go as often as possible.
Yeah, I do. I do miss home. I miss the people.
Mm-hmm.
I do, even though we've lived here for, over a decade now. It's a massive portion of my life and such a pivotal time in my life, right? Like meeting my husband, getting married, careers, children. It's still where I would gravitate to.
Yeah, sure. Well, home is still home no matter what. There's so many places in the world I want to see and that I've been and that I could imagine myself being, but as much as it's gray and gloomy here, this is home.
Yeah.
You know,
and the people too. I think culturally sometimes, like you said, you felt like it was very welcoming, very like kind and things like that. Like I feel that too. And it's funny because I would always say American hospitality is top notch, you know? You go into a store here and everyone's like, hi, how are you? How was your day? You know, all of that. Anything I can help you with? Like, I don't think you get that in the UK. I find it more, some of the connections I've had when I'm home, I notice the sincerity of it, maybe a little bit more. Like they might not say anything to you at all, but if they do, it's super sincere. Right?
Yeah, that's I was only there a couple of days, so like I hardly can comment on the depth of that. But even you saying that, I'm like, yeah, that might be what I was responding to. Because I feel like I respond to that. Because I actually think when you talk about American hospitality and that very surface level connection, but that's almost reflexive here, I actually hate that. Like when my husband is like, you're such a kind person, except in retail situations. Because I go into stores and when they're like, hi, how are you? I'm like, nope, no, I don't. I have like I have such a negative response to that.
My thing is like, hi, how are you? Do you actually care how I am? Because why?
Yeah.
It's the lack of like genuine.
Yeah.
Like you said, reflex, like auto response. Like I'm saying this because I've been told. It's like Chick-fil-A does it in their training. If someone says like, thank you, it doesn't matter what Chick-fil-A you go to in the country, they will say my pleasure. That's like part of their training, part of their marketing, right?
Wow. Yeah.
It's like a thing, my pleasure.
Yeah.
I don't know that I think it's like, yeah, but you're just telling a 15-year-old to say,
they don't even know what they're saying.
It's not actual genuine manners or service. It's just part of your like brand identity. And I understand that, but are you embodying your brand identity? Because just saying it is lip service. It's not genuine. So like I find myself craving that when I go home sometimes.
Yeah.
Jamie always laughs. There was this one time we went home and we pulled into a gas station, like a service station at home. I always get my mom flowers so that when I go through the door, I give her flowers.
Very sweet.
I'm crying about that. And so look at the gas station. Like it's not anything fancy. I just picked up the nicest bouquet I could find. And the attendant it was like a self-service and I was getting them. And I'm checking out, and I didn't need her. I didn't need her help at all. But she came over and she was like, oh my gosh, they are beautiful flowers. I said, aren't they? She was like, well, who's getting them then? And I was like, oh, they're for my mom. And she was like, oh, what a beautiful daughter. Like, we just had this great connection.
Aww.
I left.
You're going to make me cry.
And my husband was waiting to me in the car, and he was like, are you okay? I was like, I just miss home. And it's so funny because that interaction, I mean, that was years ago. It was before children, but it is stuck with me. This woman in a gas station complimenting flowers for my mom. Right?
Yeah, it is that sincere, that genuine interaction that, like I said, I was only there for a couple of days, but as you're talking about that, I think that that's probably what resonated with me, just as like an underlying theme and what I was responding to, and just kind of like that warmth is what I respond to. Not everyone does, right? Not everyone likes that. But I loved it. And again, I was surprised, not because I expected not to like it, but I was surprised at how much I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't wait to go back. It was just amazing.
You did Paris and London and another place, or just Paris and London?
We did London and for 3 nights, and then we took the Channel to Paris because we knew that would be like the easiest kind of way to see more than one city with 10 of us. So it was like, because we've got our 6 kids. We had the baby and the 5 teenagers, and then my in-laws came. So we were a group of 10. And so we were like, that's just a lot to coordinate with a toddler. So it was a good intro to kind of foreign soil to most of our kids who haven't done any of that. So it was incredible. It was great. Yeah. And you guys have taken, at least Isla.
We've taken, so Millie hasn't left the country yet. She doesn't have a passport.
She's only a couple. How old is she?
She is 4 months old.
Oh my gosh.
Our tiny girl. So she hasn't left the country yet. But Isla is she's a jet setter.
Yeah.
We like to travel though. That's like the second we get a break in our schedules. Like obviously we both work with kids. The second. So unfortunately we are like confined to school schedules. But the second we can, we're out.
I'm with you. I think we tell our kids that all the time, and we prioritize being able to have those experiences over things. And we've done that since they were little. We took them, we did individual trips because we couldn't necessarily afford to take everyone on all of these excursions, and we have a large family, but we've prioritized like, okay, we know you're really interested in this thing. We're going to, one-on-one do that. And we've done that over the years. And now that they're older and we've got 2 close to, they're juniors, but I think my husband's like, oh my gosh, they're leaving soon. So we're like trying to cram everything in, but it's the experiences that they remember. They don't remember all of the toys or the clothes that we've bought them over the years for Christmas or birthdays. They remember these moments. And so we've tried to prioritize that financially. And not everyone agrees or understands that. But for me, I'm like, there's no better way to spend any money.
Yeah. And I think even me growing up, like some of my, both my parents worked growing up. So we weren't always sitting around the table doing family dinners. And especially like I was at dance. So, I was probably eating my dinner in the car.
Yep. Aren't they all?
But the family vacations we prioritize every year. And like, that's a big British thing too. Like we travel, obviously Europe being right there. Yeah. So, that helps. But some of my best memories with my family are on vacation. And I think I want the same for my girls. Like, that's what they remember,
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go back to when you came here. And I know you said you came, you had family in New York, so that's why you were here. What did you do when you got here? Did you get a part-time job? I mean, how did it unravel?
Yeah, so then, reality kicked in a little bit of like, okay, this is cute and all, but what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So obviously I was in Honeyoke Falls, so I didn't have a car. So I walked to the nearest bar and said, do you have any jobs?
Oh my gosh.
So I Flaherty's.
Okay.
So I was a waitress at Flaherty's.
Okay.
And I busted my butt all summer. I saved every tip so that I could get a little Chevrolet Cruze.
Okay.
So I got my car. And then somebody, I don't remember how this connection happened, but somebody had let me know that there was a dance studio in the city that was hiring. And again, like now I look back and I'm like, I was driving 25, 35 minutes for a dance job. That is insane. Like, again, just like such a lack of awareness of the area and, like where I was versus where I was driving. I didn't know.
Like Chris, so you're in Honeyoke Falls, you're teaching in the city, you're driving because you have your car, and eventually you transitioned from that studio somewhere else.
Yeah. So
that was in Buffalo?
So then I was teaching in Buffalo for a while. At one point I had like multiple jobs. So I still kept the bar job because that was good money.
Such is the life of a performer.
Right. So, kept the bar job. So most days I worked on a front desk of a hair salon. I would be there at 8 a.m. And then I would leave the hair salon to go teach dance. Mm-hmm. And then I would leave the dance studio to go back to the bar. So I was like working 3 jobs multiple days. My husband the same. Like just we never saw each other. We were just, passing ships in the night.
And you were just dating at this time?
Just dating. When he moved to Rochester, eventually we got an apartment together in a very terrible area. Like now we look back at, again, we just didn't know. Like,
sure.
Waving the immigrant flag here. Like we had no idea what was a good area, a bad area. It's all we could afford. And it was like, all right, well, here we go. Like it was, now I look back and I'm like, like the invincibility of your 20s.
Oh yeah.
Not me. I'm safe.
It's fine. Yeah.
Now I look back and I'm like, you should not have been living. You should and I was like parking my car and street parking, probably about a 10-minute walk through the city at the end of the night, 1:00 in the morning, getting home from the bar, like crazy stuff. Anyway. Yep. So then I transitioned to also teaching in a studio in Buffalo, really great competitive studio, which kind of like opened another dimension of dance to me. Mm-hmm. Didn't grow up doing competitive dance. That wasn't it's not really a thing in the UK. It is, but it's changing. So if you have any viewers that are suddenly like, why is she saying that? Growing up, competitive dance in the UK was like, well, then she's not very good.
Wow. That is so fascinating because it's the opposite here.
Yeah. So we do things called dance exams in the UK. There are governing boards and governing bodies, and you typically...
So it's just like adjudicated performances, which is similar?
Not really performance. So like an accredited judge, examiner, would come to your dance studio and watch you do a 2-hour ballet class that you would learn the syllabus for.
Wow.
And then they would grade you on technique, performance, musicality, all of the above. Each exercise. How did you do in pliés? How did you do in tendus? How do you do in whatever? And then you got a score at the end. And if you didn't pass, you couldn't move on to the next level.
Wow. And so is that what you grew up doing or no? Okay.
In everything. Ballet, tap, and jazz.
Wow.
So very, very different. And just the mental capacity of that, right? Because you had to learn the syllabus. Like it wasn't like an off-the-cuff class. It was something worked on for like maybe 7. It used to take around 7 to 8 months to get the syllabus down. Mm-hmm. And then the examiner would come. You would present, do the exam. And typically in one weekend, you might do like ballet and tap. So like I like, maybe just because my brain's mom mush now, but I'm like, how did I have capacity for that in high school?
No.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, I did. So competitive dance was super new to me when I moved here.
Yeah.
Like I was like, okay, wait, no, why are they good at doing competitive? Like I didn't, because there is really a governing board here like that. The closest is ABT has like an accreditation and you take exams in that, but they're the only one.
Yeah. It's such a world of its own. I mean, I didn't grow up doing competitive dance. I didn't go to what was considered a fantastic studio. It wasn't until I got to college that I was like, I've loved dance all my life. I've always wanted to be better. We've had these conversations about switching studios as a young girl. And I mean, there's so many layers to it. It's not just about going to the best and pushing yourself. There's social and emotional, and there's so many factors at play. But it wasn't until I was in college when I really was like, okay, I want to figure this out. My daughter doesn't go to a competitive studio now, but she just did her first convention. And it is culture shock. She loved it. It was great. She did amazing. I'm very proud of her. But regardless, even as somebody who grew up in the dance community, you stand there and go, gosh, people that don't know this, it is an entire different planet. I mean, it's such a world of its own.
It can be very overwhelming, I think, too, to like new dance families that are like want to explore this for their kid, or it's like the next obvious step. I think sometimes no mom wants to feel like they're failing. No mom wants to feel like they're dropping the ball for their kid, right? Like in any capacity.
Right.
That's because you forgot it was snack day at school or crazy sock day or whatever, any of the other 1,000 things that's expected of us. And I think some of the fear around things like a competitive dance program is just the sheer capacity to feel like you're failing as a mom because you don't know why is she wearing that outfit and what do you mean? What's a call time? And there's so much jargon and like industry specific knowledge that I think actually put a lot of people off doing it.
Sure.
Feels so scary, and then nobody wants to go into
intimidating, right? It's intimidating for the kids. It's intimidating for the moms. I mean, even just being at the convention, you know, I was standing kind of off to the side and I'm like, this is just watching the dance moms. You got all, I mean, and I, little known fact on here, you know this, but I owned a dance studio at one point in my life. So it was in one of my many lives that I've lived. But so I'm familiar with dance mom itis. There's good, there's positives, and there's like on the spectrum of dance mom, there's like well-intentioned, supportive, lovely, encouraging, wonderful women. And then there's like not. And there's everybody in between.
Yeah.
But as I'm standing at this convention, I'm like, it is like watching a reality show. It's Dance Moms in the Wild. That's what I kept saying. I'm like, this is I don't even know what to do with myself just watching the behaviors, not of the kids, of the moms. And I'm like, you know, it's easy to stand there and judge and be like, oh my gosh, she's a lot. You know, but I really tried not to do that and to stand back and go, okay, but all of these moms, to your point, are putting all of this pressure on themselves to not fail their child. And that's really what I think it comes down to.
Yeah. And I think, you know, we could talk for hours. There's so much disappointment in dance. Like it's just by the nature of the beast. You're going to hear 1,000 no's before you hear a yes. If you ever do hear a yes.
Yeah.
And I think a little bit of the world that we live in now, we're trying to still give like a bunch of yes. And this just like isn't the industry for
I just saw a TikTok. I think it was yesterday or the day before of a professional dancer. It was one of the Broadway girls I follow. She was just posting like photos of her dancing on Broadway, but the caption was from a dancer who never placed at a competition. You know, this could be you too. You know, it's like it's this beautiful reminder that like, yes, the competitions are there's value and there's learning experiences. And I actually think it's really good for the girls to fail and not win because it pushes them and it gives them, I don't know. I mean, you could speak to this better than I can, but for my daughter, I prefer when it's not always a yes because you need to hear no throughout your life and still have your eye on the prize.
Right? Like that's not going to be her reality the day that she goes for a job interview, whether that's anything to do with dance or not, right? Like rejection is part of life. And if we are constantly cushioning that from our kids, I've seen kids completely unravel because they've never heard no. For whatever reason, whether that's a parenting choice, whether it's dance, whether it's whatever, like, but I will say of the competitive like dance world and conventions and all of that, you might be the best at age 7, but you could bump up into the next group. Maybe you were a mini and now you're a junior. You're now at the bottom of the pecking order. Unless you're something really special,
right?
You might have been the best in that room and now you're the worst in this room, right? Like, and it ebbs and flows. And honestly, I think that's great because I think that's challenging, that's pushing you, that's you know, all of those things. And ultimately, you know, I think kids that are well-rounded, and I don't mean in like triple threat ballet tap jazz. I mean well-rounded in the fact that they know what rejection is. They know what happens when they don't get the score that they want. They go away, they work on it, they get a better score. And like that has to feel better than just always hearing yes.
Yeah.
In fact, 100%. Right? But yeah, competitive dance is it's so funny because like I can't believe that that's my life now.
Yeah.
But I never grew up doing it, you know?
You do it so well. I mean, we met, how many years ago? I think was it before COVID? I don't remember, but we met a few years ago because my daughter was Irish dancing. And I think, you know, somebody referred you to me for photos and we've had some great conversations since. And now I've had Ruby in a couple of classes at your studio and I can't wait to have her continue there if she loves it. But I think regardless of some of those realities, having been somewhat in the dance world my whole life locally, I have to say, I think you're in the top handful, if not less, top 3, I would say, of owners, of studio owners that I know personally that I think truly have not only the technical and the technique as a priority for the girls, but with appropriate expectations and encouragement and support for them. But outside of all of that, you foster an environment that is supportive and kind among your girls. And that is really difficult to find. And I think if you do nothing else, if they never win another title, which I know isn't going to happen because you guys are amazing, but if you never come home with another trophy, or you never have a student who places at the very top of anything ever again, but they walk out feeling confident and they walk out feeling respected and also learn respect in turn, that's the ultimate, I think, compliment. And I think that that's your priority, and it's not lip service. It's evident in all that you do. And I think that it's a beautiful thing, but it's also something that is so rare. And I really love that about you, about your studio. It's like I said, it's hard to find.
Thank you. That means a lot. That's like,
it's true though.
I refer as my studio family all the time because it really is my family here.
Yeah.
You know, like my girls, when I say my girls, I mean my own children, but I call my dancers my girls, right? Because they are the people that I'm spending sometimes more time with than my own children, one. And two, my actual children could not be in better hands than when they're in that building. Mm-hmm. I don't ever have to worry. Isla is, the CEO of everyone and everything over there. And there are times, I get caught up, I'm speaking to somebody, I have to send this email, I'm unpacking that costume. Mm-hmm. Someone on my team needs a question that we need to answer. That dance needs my eyes, whatever, I'm pulled. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, Isla maybe came for dance that day. And I'm like, oh my God, like, where is Isla? And she's either been scooped up by a faculty member. One of my teens is getting her changed, ready for next class. Like,
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
My Siri went
up. That's okay.
Perfect.
We have interactive audience.
Yes, it's the person in the chat. But like my studio scoops up my girls and me, and I think I've built a family because I don't have one here. And so the things that you're speaking to, like outside of what I would expect of, the dance journey, like if you dance with us if Ruby was to be with us the whole time, whether she became a competitive dancer or not, I hope that she leaves with confidence, with life skills that she's going to take. And honestly, like, I'd love to tell you that I sat down and came up with this whole convoluted business plan of how I wanted Rock Dance to be. But I think it truly has just been bred out of what dance gave me and what I want to give back because of dance.
But that sincerity that you were speaking about earlier, even, yes, culturally, and we could talk about all of that, but I think that's who you are. So because you gravitate toward genuine connection, you love that about home, you carry that into your personal life, that's gonna bleed through into your business, which I think is, it is rare, it is unique, but it's unique to you as well, that you've been able to bring all of this together under the umbrella of this amazingly successful business and dance community that has become family, but it's because of who you are. And I think you have to give yourself credit for that, because there's value in what you bring to the table beyond your technical expertise and beyond your small business entrepreneurship, which I do want to talk about, because how did you, I'm just going to circle back to that, because it's easy to get into the dance conversation, but as a dancer, and now you're in America, you're working all of these jobs, you're teaching, but you somehow transition to, okay, now I want to teach here and maybe I should just open a studio. What does that look like from idea to actually bringing that to fruition and becoming a small business owner? Because there's a whole beast behind that end of it, which I'm all too familiar with, which is very scary.
Yeah. I'll be really honest. I think the youthfulness of me at the time, and again, my why can't you husband and me here. And he's like always got my back, even now, like if I have an idea, he doesn't ask me how much or any of that. He's just like, yeah, let's go. Like, that's just, he's the biggest cheerleader in my life. I think it just came out of like, okay, well, why don't we do this ourselves? Like, why am I going to keep giving the best of me for someone else? And also maybe from working at other studios, kind of realizing what I liked and what I didn't like, which I
Sure.
suppose everybody does. Like as consumers, we go into stores that we like, we take what we don't like, all of that. I think the formal dance training I'd had, I felt like that was missing. I felt like studios were focused on rehearsals and there were really talented dancers that could perform that piece of choreography.
Yeah.
But if you asked them to do that same step outside of that song, that costume, that whatever, they couldn't do it. Yeah. Because in their brain, it was associated to that dance. So I really wanted a studio that was going to focus more on training, on technique, and the competition side of things was going to be like a portion, not the whole thing.
Yeah. Not the driving force. It's a result, right? It's a fruit of the labor, not the other way around.
Not the other way around. And also that's why, yes, we have a competitive program at my studio, but we also have a huge educational program. Yeah. When I call my rec program educational, because I don't like the term rec, I think it sounds like we're doing this for fun. Yeah. And I think you can have fun. I think you can, but I also think like the fun in dance is that you're learning stuff. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of programs out there that are preaching fun. No, it's fun to learn. Yeah. Like we can have fun at the park. We can have fun at a trampoline park. You're not paying me for fun. You're paying me for a service and for a product, right?
Well, right. And that price tag is, and this is another great conversation you and I have had previously in just, you get what you pay for, right? And so if you're going to be investing in an activity for your child, it doesn't mean it has to be their career, but why would I want to pay less to get no value when I can pay an appropriate amount or maybe a little bit more to have true value there and like proper education in any area, but particularly dance? It blows my mind that people spend money at these studios that are very just, we just have fun. Like, what are you paying for? Because life is expensive. And so if we're going to invest in our kids, let's do it the right way.
I think if you polled my kids at Rock Dance, they wouldn't tell you they're not having fun.
Right. Absolutely. There's fun to be had.
They're having a great time, but it's not the only thing that we're focused on, because what's the product at the end of the day? And I think some of the battle, like we were talking about this earlier, like parents almost like helicopter curling around their kids. We don't want you to hear no. We don't want you to ever experience rejection or upset or whatever, right? Like this, like wrapping them in bubble wrap parenting. I think that equally transcends to this, like, well, they're just doing it for fun. Like we're not taking it so seriously. Yeah. And I think when you start stripping out, and I see this in our community, I see this at dance studios across, the greater area, you're actually taking away what the fundamentals of dance are. It's disciplined, it's structured, right? Like by nature, thousands of years of history of dance is that it says it's structured, it's disciplined, it's all this. So like when you're saying like, no, we're more carefree, right? But then you're not getting the outcome out of what dance is, because that's not what it's supposed to be.
Right.
I'm not saying it doesn't evolve, it evolves, but.
Yeah, and if people have the money to throw away and just entertain, go ahead. But I do think when you're talking about, and the same can be said for sports and things like that for the kids, it's like if you're going to be investing in an activity for your child, let's make the best of it. Let's help them learn to the best of their ability, and regardless of what they're going to do with it. It's like you're not going to, I don't know. To me, I think the investment piece is important regardless of career goal.
No. Right. And time. Like that's such a big thing too. Like
the investment is not just financial. That's a great point. No, it's time consuming.
It's time for your kids. It's time for you sitting in the parking lot waiting for them to get out, especially as they get older. I mean, my teens are dancing 4 days a week.
Right.
Their parents joke they see you more than they see me. We talk about at my studio like being this triangle of like dancer, parent, me, not me, but like studio. Yeah. And like when those three things work in harmony, like your dancer there's 12 faculty members at my studio. There's 12 other people now looking out for your kid, right? Whether that be she looks tired today or like, did you eat? Did you, that like extra support system. Yeah. And then equally like when parent and dance studio connect together, like how far we can take your dancer, even outside of, like you said, wanting to go to dance. I honestly, this is our 9th year. We've had a couple of kids go into like collegiate dance programs, Fordham, the Ailey School, Oklahoma, like big programs.
Yeah.
But the rest didn't, and dropped dance, and never even did there's a trend now for dance team.
Mm.
But they didn't even go to do dance team. And now when I check up with them and they come home for Christmas and stuff, I just see them as these really well-rounded, super professional, successful women. And it's nothing to do with dance, right? What they're doing is nothing to do with dance. But they would tell you they can interview really well because they don't mind putting themselves on the spot. Or, one of my students, Dia, she's living in New York City. She's got a really great job. She's got a really great job in fashion. And she would always say that the way she presents herself and carries herself is because of dance.
Yeah.
She arrives
and that discipline and that confidence and that, made mention of, and I feel like it's going to be an elephant in the room for people that don't know us or understand the culture and might have a misconception about all studios or like body shaming girls. And you made mention oh, did you eat? It's it just made me think of that, because I think a lot of people assume that with dance comes eating disorders and with dance comes, body obsession. And that wasn't my experience growing up. I know it might be for some people. I know you and I know the culture of rock dance. I know that's not the culture there. But do you feel like that was something you intentionally tried to implement or fight against before it even became a thing in the culture of your business specifically? Because it is, I think people just assume that that's going to be an issue.
It's going to be there. Yeah. So at my dance school, my dance college, I had a teacher that body shamed me. We won't go into detail, but there was body shaming, and I was 19, 20 years old. I look back and I'm like, you were gorgeous. I don't know why you were crying about anything that man had to say, but very old school ballet teacher that, would tell me that stuff was hanging out the bottom of my leotard and you should really take care of that and things like that. Right. Gosh. And so in turn, I stopped eating in college, not to the eating disorder level, but I look back and I'm like, that was disordered eating.
Sure.
Right. Punishing my body, not eating.
Well, and as young women, we all, I think,
especially our generation, right? We grew up with
some version of that.
For sure. My mom was always on some kind of diet. And we grew up in the generation of the Weight Watcher shakes and all of that.
Cookies.
So many different, it was just
yeah.
And just the models of our generation too, they were really, 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 really skinny. People in the public eye. So I don't know that it was necessarily this super intentional decision. I just know how that made me feel.
Yeah.
And I was older than the kids that I teach now. So I can only imagine what would happen if I'd heard that when I was 12.
Yeah.
So we have a uniform at my studio, which is super controversial for a lot of people. I hear that a lot at registration appointments, that they're yes.
And again, it's controversial in that they don't find it appropriate.
They don't like that they have to purchase a uniform. They don't understand why they can't get it at Target. Target does dance wear. What's the big deal? Right? Why? Or they see it as oh, you're just making money off a uniform. Well, one, we buy it from a wholesaler and it's literally it's pretty much the same markup.
Yeah.
There's hardly any difference. So no uniform is not keeping RG&E in the building.
Right.
I can assure
not lining your pockets.
Those $9 tights are not keeping it going.
Yeah.
But one of the big reasons that I do that is for a sense of belonging. So everybody has a uniform look. We don't have to worry about, are you wearing this brand, that brand, this, that, and the other? No, we're all wearing the exact same thing. And also then from a teaching standpoint, I'll be honest, it's so much easier to clean things and look at what we can fix and technique and everything when we've got this uniform look. I'm not
every single sports team wears a uniform.
Don't get me started on the differences of sports and dance.
Sorry, I don't want to fire you up. But it's true.
That one. Yeah. So that's an example of something. And I think we have a group at our studio that is what we call level 3. And their age is 11, 12, and they're not on the competitive team.
Okay.
So general story, they maybe haven't found their thing yet. And that's, by American standards, that's kind of late, right? You're not already a baseball star or you're not the cheerleader or whatever, right? So they're not yet defined by their activity, these kids. And there's a lot of body hangups in there. Like a lot of like uncomfortability in the leotard, and we want to wear baggy t-shirts and stuff. And it's so funny to see, because they're the same age as my junior group that have been dancing since they were 3. So it's like they came into dance later, and then the juniors have been doing it since they were 3 years old, most of them. And they wear a similar, it's a different color, but it's the same concept. Leotard, tights, shorts, whatever.
They're used to it.
And there's no body stuff going on in the juniors.
Wow.
So like, doesn't that just show you like what this has done? So like what we said was like, you would immediately assume there's going to be eating disorders and all of this. It's by nature a critical industry. We look in the mirror and we say, how can I make this better? But I think there's an understanding that it's how can I improve and how can I make strides forward to better myself, not what's wrong with me.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's a mindset. It's like look in the mirror and can you say I know I can do better versus I don't like that about myself, or I don't like the way I did that. It's I think it's about language that we use. And I really do think that like not letting them hide their bodies. Like no, like look at yourself, like celebrate yourself, like celebrate. Like I had a conversation with a dance mom a couple of weeks ago who came from another studio, and she commented to me, because my child doesn't have a dancer's body. And I kind of asked, like, what is a dancer's body? Like, what does that mean? Like, if you're talking about a stereotype, I understand what you're saying, but she can move, can't she?
Yeah.
Can she move her body? Because that's what dancing is. You can move your body. That's really it.
Well, and I think that's why like people like, going to the extreme that you look at the Eras Tour and Taylor Swift and having it's Newton, right? I mean, here's this large black man dancing, more flexible, flailing around a stage for 3.5 hours, better than any petite little thing you'll ever see. And I bring him up because I'm like, I love seeing that for so many reasons, right? For so many reasons that anybody that wants to be a dancer can put the work in and do it within reason, right? But that to me like breaks so many of those walls down. But then, and this is outside of the dance community necessarily, but like you look at this Ozempic trend now. Here's my point. We were going, I felt like in a really positive direction with body positivity and arguably almost too much the other way, because it was like you were like almost celebrating like being unhealthy, which is not what we want to celebrate on either end of the spectrum, right? So it's not about being skinny or fat and these words that are so
healthy,
oblique, right? But it's about being healthy. So I felt like we were kind of like in a good trajectory as a society. I'm like, okay, we're like off of these diet trends and there's this celebration of like all sizes. And now I just feel like we're plummeting back with the freaking GLP-1s. Like, how does that affect the dance community and vice versa? Because it is this like vacuum, but it's also not. And so this issue, yes, it's a social issue. Yes, it's a largely female issue for a lot of people. And now we're like going so far back. I don't know.
It feels very early 2000s to me. Yeah. Like we're like swinging the low rise jeans again, and we're wearing crop tops. And I'm like, no,
we learn nothing.
Why are we doing this? Yeah. I think it's going to be unfortunate. Yeah, it is going to trickle in. It's good. And I think the only thing to it, at least in my industry, like, sometimes my mom sends me a lot of news. Mom loves to send me Instagram news or like ask me about, like, did you see this today? And like on the global, stage. And I can't handle it. I've noticed that since becoming a mom. And also I had my first youngster during COVID. So everything felt really heavy.
Yeah.
And I've just actually noticed, like, you can only control what you are in control of, right? Like, or where, like, your jurisdiction ends. And my jurisdiction ends at rock dance.
Yeah, right.
I can worry about the effects of Ozempic on my people's.
Your bubble. Yeah.
My bubble.
Well, and you're setting the stage for body positivity and for confidence building. And what I really appreciate about the way that you communicate from what I've seen, because not just have I had the chance to have conversations with you as a parent and as a dance mom, but I've watched you interact because I've done photos for your studio and I've been at a couple of events. And what I really appreciate about you is you are so kind and respectful, but you do not back down. Like you don't take anybody's BS. even in a respectful conversation, I'm not suggesting I've seen anything heated, but I do appreciate that you are very firm and you stick to your guns. And there's something to be said for that.
Yeah, I think that's taken me from opening the studio when there's such a level of desperation when you begin a business, right? Yeah. Like, come one, come all, anyone, anything.
Please come.
Please. There's in fact, we share a family that you have photographed a lot. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget calling that mom because we'd had a class on a day that she couldn't do. And I remember being like, these kids, how are we going to pay this one studio room rent and all of this? And we ended up getting a little bit more interest over the summer. This mom had gone to another studio because she wanted her kid to dance and we didn't have the day and the time that she needed. And we ended up getting more interest for her age group and I was able to put on another class, a whole 3 of them. And now I would never run a class for 3. I would be like, nope, it's done. Cancel it. Pull the plug. Right. And then I was like, a class. And I remember picking up the phone to her on my personal phone because there was no studio number. There was no separation. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And just saying, I'm so excited to tell you that we've got this class, whatever. And she was like, oh, thank God we went somewhere else and it was terrible. And I'm coming back to you. And like, I love this because I'm still so close with this family and with this dancer. But it was back then, like, I mean, I was genuinely desperate. I had a notepad. I was like, please, I need to call her. Please come back. Mm-hmm. And I think as the studio grew and our name got out there, I still continued with that come one, come all, anyone, anything, anytime, any place. I'm yours. I'm accessible. Because if I'm not, you might leave.
Yep.
And I can't tell you necessarily when or how, but there came a point that I was like, there's going to be nothing left of me.
Yeah.
I'm giving so much.
Yep. You have to reach that point. I mean, when just from I had a studio for 3 years and I didn't get to that point. I didn't survive past getting over that hump for a lot of reasons. But one thing that, I want to touch on is you mentioned you have 12 faculty now. And that's, kudos to you. I mean, you've grown a beautiful business. I had, I don't know, 3 or 4 teachers at the time. And, part of why I closed my studio was because it became, there wasn't enough of me. I was working full time. I was in my 20s. I had this naivete, like you were saying, it's just this young ignorance of like, I can do it all. And this is amazing. And yeah. And I wasn't able to be there. And I trusted my teachers to run the business. I wouldn't have said it that way then. In my mind, I was the owner and I was the director and I was pulling all the strings and paying all the bills, but I wasn't there. And there was like a coup that one mom decided she was upset about something. And then I got 30 phone calls and I had a teacher at the helm of it, kind of like, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe she was upset with me she felt like she was doing a lot and I wasn't because she didn't know the business side and I wasn't the face there. And it's that element of it is like, I give you a lot of credit. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I don't want to need to get into my whole story, but it's like, I have so much appreciation for the work you're doing because I got to the point where I just said, this is too much. I can't work through this. I've just got to step away. It was make or break and I chose break.
So I've had make or breaks, like for sure. COVID almost killed us.
How could it not? It almost killed everyone.
I mean, we're dancing on Zoom for the longest time and so many families, we cut down their bill massively for like online classes. Yeah. There were still people who couldn't support that and I fully understand why. But the recovery of that I honestly would say last year was the first year I felt recovered.
Wow.
And that's a long time, right?
Like 5 years of.
We entered COVID just under 100 students, which I remember being like, here we go.
Yeah.
And then we dropped to like maybe 45 and now we're at 164. But when you think about like building a business, like that's taken that long, right? Like that long to get back to a growth period.
It's more than half of the time you've been in existence.
But I've definitely had break points. One of the best decisions I ever made was joining this broader group called More Than Just Great Dancing. Okay. Their founder, Misty Lone, is a studio owner in totally gone brain. She owns a studio, a very good, big, successful studio. And she's
not local.
No. And she's created this program called More Than Just Great Dancing for studio owners specifically. And I'm now basically part of this wider network of studio owners across America and actually in the UK.
Wow.
And she's just provided this incredible support system. We do trainings on service, teaching your faculty, dealing with different problems. You know, I mean, it's so broad spectrum. It's not even funny. We deal with finances, sales, like things that like I had so much imposter syndrome opening the studio, like all the self-help business books, who put you in charge? Yeah, me. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like all of those, right?
Yeah.
Actually, I realized going into working with this, being a part of this program and being a part of this larger group, I did not know what my business model was. I did not know my why. All of those things, right? That ultimately the growth of the studio, I owe to this program now because it made me sit down and have some really difficult conversations.
Definition. Yeah, it's definition.
And definition. Because just opening a studio and come one, come all, of course, there was nothing left of me. There was nothing left of me for my family, for my husband, for my home. And I thought that just by growing up dancing, hard work and work ethic were like not a thing for me. Like I would work 7 days a week. I don't care, especially in something I love. But just because I love it doesn't mean that I should have been doing it 7 days a week. It didn't mean I should have been accessible to that dance mom at 11:30 p.m. The anxiety I used to get over seeing an email come in, feeling like everybody hated what I was doing, hated the program, like just constantly feeling like everything, like almost like I was like in fight or flight response all the time. Constant, like waiting to put out that fire or whatever. Yeah. And so it's interesting that you're like, I love that you don't take anything, because like if you'd have asked me 9-8 years ago, I'm a pushover, I'm soft. And I think now I found that like, you know, if you were to ask the kids, I'm a crier. I'm super emotional. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm incredibly empathetic to the point that I feel for others, like sometimes too much. Like I absorb so much, but I can be that, and I can also be firm about the boundaries of my business, right? And I think that's been my biggest growth, is understanding like, nope, this is my boundary. I'm going home. Or no, this is how we do things here, and that's totally okay if that doesn't work for you. There's a studio right down the street.
Well, and that's maturity, but it's also, there's confidence in that you are still standing and your business has grown. And so that one begets the other, and it does take time, but it's valid that you have the ability to do that now because you've come so far, and you've come so far because you've grown in that along the way. I mean, it's right.
Yeah. You learn, like you, what do they say? You grow through what you go through.
Yeah. Like, so true.
Like whatever I've experienced through doing this, like each interaction, every family, every not great email or whatever, like it's either shaped the next decision or, you know, whatever. I'm pretty happy with where the studio's at now though. Like
as you should be.
Yeah. I'm trying to feel content with it. That's a big thing for me. That dancer mindset of like, what's next? Yeah. Or like, how do we improve this? My husband sometimes has to be like, nothing, Charlotte, you just had a baby. Nothing is now. You're just take
take a breath, take a beat. Yep.
I can't.
I know. Well, that's that entrepreneurial spirit in you too. I mean, you wouldn't be this successful if you didn't have that drive, right? But sometimes it does take our husbands to kind of scale us back a little and go, hold on, like this is enough for right now. And maybe the next season, which could be tomorrow, it could be in a year, it could be in 5 years, but in that season, sure, let's pursue this next thing. But right now.
And goal setting helps too, right? Like the funny thing about all of this is I never wanted to own a studio.
Of course, that's the way life goes.
If you'd have asked me, what do you want to do? If someone had said, like, what about teaching? Arrogant little self was like, why would I teach someone else to do what I could do? That was my response.
That's that frontal lobe lack of development.
But now it's funny because it's like, you know, it's just funny how life works, because I feel like I've so found my purpose in life. Like I feel the most myself when I am standing in front of a class and teaching. And now I feel like I've tapped into another element of, I really love taking a staff member that maybe just wanted to teach dance and making them a manager. I love like the same confidence that we put into those kids, I now really enjoy doing with my team.
Yeah.
And I've only just moved into that though, like understanding that like I'm driving this cruise ship. And if I want to be able to go home and put my kid to bed every once in a while, the people around me, I call them my dream team. Like they need to be driving this cruise ship with me.
Yeah.
And how can I bring them along with me? And one mind, one vision, like, but that takes a lot of effort too.
Yeah.
It's like a whole other class like of kids, you know, and they're not kids.
Totally.
Some of them are, they're still in college. They're like doing all the things. And that's so great to see too, because you know, they're at the age where they're working multiple jobs like I was. So I'm super passionate about trying to get real careers in my building. I currently have one full-time staff member, and that was a huge jump this year, like salaried. And I'm like working towards adding on more. Like I feel like this whole like dance as a side gig is why it doesn't get the respect why the arts don't get the respect it deserves, right? Like I feel like people still to me are like, oh, you're still doing that dance thing. I'm a business owner. Yes, I'm an entrepreneur. And yes, I like, right? But like it's that dance thing. So like I'd love to make these careers for my staff. That's why I want them to take on training opportunities. And like if I can facilitate that, I do. But it's like
that's such a gift for them. And I think, you know, to yourself, right? Because it's not, yes, you're driving the cruise ship, as you said, and you want them to be able to, but sometimes even if they are capable, if you're not confident in passing the wheel, then the cruise ship might still be going in the right direction. They might be capable, but if you're still not sleeping because you have one eye open, you're still losing.
Yes.
Right. So that final piece of like you training them in the way they should go it's important, but it's equally as important for you to feel confident. Right. And so I think it's amazing what you're doing for them, and in turn what they can do for you if you allow it. You just have to allow it.
Well, that's a learning. Like I'm still there.
Yeah, that's tough.
Because the studio is my baby. I have 3 children.
Of course. Yeah.
You know,
but you've built something from nothing. So you have every right to feel that way. The growth and the maturity comes, I think, when you can start to transition into kind of what you're describing in wanting to really pass the baton in a healthy way, not give up control. I mean, to a degree, right? But it's not about passing the buck. It's about including and growing and maturing.
Yep. And knowing that we're all saying the same thing. We might just be saying it in a different way. And I'm not even necessarily talking about teaching. Like I want to arm them with all the accreditations I can. Like that's a big like passion project for me. I think because I came from a training background that accreditations were so important. You couldn't move on if you didn't obtain and all of that. That I feel like my faculty, it blew my mind that anyone here could just open a dance studio. If my husband wanted to, that has never stepped a foot in a studio outside of laying my dance floor, he could open a studio. Would people even look at it? Would they even look at, sorry, why you? What's your training background? They don't. And that's like, I preach that. Like whether rock dance is not for you at all, please look at, are the people that your children are going to be coming in contact with, are they background checked?
Yep.
Are they CPR first aid certified? What training do they have in dance? Because otherwise, they could be doing physical damage. They could be doing mental damage. Like there's so many things that I'm like, why do we not prioritize this? Like you wouldn't send your kid to school to someone that had never been trained as a teacher.
Yeah.
And like I said, those parents are like, oh, some of my teens spend more time with you than they do me. So let's hope that I'm background checked.
It's in a quality environment.
Right? Like it's wild to me that's not, that isn't a stipulation.
Yeah. And it's so interesting. I mean, looking back, I'm like, gosh, I mean, I really had no business owning a studio and teaching, which is why I didn't teach. I opened the studio because I loved dance, but I hired the people that I knew had the education. So I hired somebody from RCB. My former dance teacher was teaching for me. My best friend who went to college for dance, you know, and I would choreograph numbers here and there. But even that, I look back and I'm like, gosh, like nobody was checking anybody's background or anybody's education. And so not only that, I look back at my experience, but I look at some of these other studios and places that are open or people that are paying for classes to somebody that I'm like, this is, what's the word I want to use? I don't want to say it's like, it's not fraudulent, but at the same time, where's the accountability, right? And it does go back to what we were talking about with like paying, you get what you pay for, but also there's a real safety factor there.
So, I know since becoming a mom, I'm not dropping my girls anywhere where I'm leaving the building that if there were a life-threatening situation, you couldn't handle it. Like whatever, right? Like you're not going to school where that's not a thing. Like, and honestly, as a teacher in the room, if someone were to have an emergent situation, and I'm not even talking about dance here, I'm talking about anyone can go and get first aid CPR certified, right? Yeah. You just got to pay the money. Like the panic that I would feel, the responsibility that I feel when you drop your kids with me, with my staff in my building, the least I can do is let you know that they're safe.
Yeah.
That for me is the least. We're one certification away from being the highest accredited studio in Rochester. And I can confidently
believe that.
Like, we're going to be YPAD certified, which is like a organization that basically talks about the youth protection advocacy for dancers. So talking about that body positivity, what is the language and the verbiage that we're talking about in the room. And all of my staff go through a training for that. But here's the thing with all of this stuff. I pay them to do that, right? Like that's extra time that they take outside of the room on their Sunday nights, when we get together and we do our, every 6-week trainings, and I'm checking in with them. Hey, did you do this certification? Hey, did you see this call I need you to hop on? It's extra, but that's because I'm trying to make it a career.
But you're investing, right?
But I'm
investing in them. Yeah.
So maybe my tuition feels a little high, but I know for me as a parent, I would want to know that my tuition is not only giving me a great product to my kid, but where is that also going, right? Like the safety in the building and all of that, but also like the people that are in front of my child. Who are they? Why them? All of that. I say I'm about to be the highest accredited studio in Rochester, not to brag, not for a sales pitch, but in hopes that inspires other studio owners to say like, hey, like keep up, because working with young bodies and minds, and this is so important. But
you see it across industries, right? You see it across industries that there's, I mean, even as a photographer, I see people that are charging the same as, we just had an event this past weekend, and good friends of mine are photographers, and they shot the event for me. And I posted their work, and I was like, I'm never shooting again, because they are like technically perfect and wonderful and lovely and professional. And like, I see other people charging what they're charging, but I know the level of education and intent and quality of their equipment and quality of their time and their expertise. Like, I want to pay for that. I don't want to pay the same amount to somebody who just decided to pick up a camera, which I'm somewhere in the middle of that spectrum. But I have spent the time to continue to grow and to educate myself, and to spend time with them and learn from them and learn from others, whether it's photography or dance or any industry in between. I think the message, the overarching theme is that if you're going to be spending your hard-earned money, make sure that you're investing it properly into other people who are taking good care of it and taking good care of your investment. Your children, your finances, your time. It's all important. And so I don't know, I feel like I want to shake people to understand the value of that. But here we are.
The right people will find, is what I've really noticed. I really look around, Saturday mornings at the studio are the busiest, right? It's just little kid classes and that's the buzz. And I just love how it feels. I love that it's busy, but it's not hectic. And the families that are helping each other out, or they're chatting, or I have something called the Momtourage at my studio.
Love.
And basically it's a group of moms that have a coffee hour on the first Saturday of every morning. And they invite, I open it out, and I'm just like, hey, if you have kind of what we touched on earlier, we have a holiday performance coming up. And I'm sure for a lot of new dance moms, they're probably feeling a little okay, what do I do? And it might feel really daunting. But my Momtourage is made up of veteran moms.
Love it.
Competitive and not. And they can go grab coffee and have a chat with them. And ask her questions in a non-formal way, because I think since becoming a mom, I feel like I may sometimes seem like inaccessible to some families. Like I hear a lot, like, I didn't want to bother you. I think because of those moms, like they see me mom to mom.
Yeah.
They see me like baby and carrier, toddler on hip, costume box on my head, like while I walk in the studio with all of the many things plus my children. And I think sometimes they're like, I'm not going to bother her about like, do I need the ballet shoes or the jazz shoes next week or whatever.
You're like,
so
no, bother me.
Please bother me. That's my job. But I guess like kind of like what we were talking about, like just a simple thing like my little Momtourage coffee hour that I've set up, like that still allows me to like hand over the reins, but hope that you still find connection, support, help, even though you feel like you can't bother the lunatic mother with 2 children, a laptop, and a costume box on her head.
I hardly think you look like a lunatic. You look like a studio owner with 2 little ones who's doing all of it, all the things.
I do think I come in the studio and I'm like, people are like,
there's an intimidation factor just by nature of your position. So don't discount that. And your Momtourage, I'm sure, are not the same kind of moms that I'm referring to that I sat back and watched at the. I have to tell you this. I was in the elevator at this convention, right? We were in Pittsburgh, and all of a sudden it was
you did Pittsburgh?
Yeah, we were. We went to Nouveau.
Okay,
which was lovely. But it was great. We didn't compete. We just did the convention. But we were in the elevator. And this mom, like all of a sudden, it was like pre-cup of coffee for me in the morning. It was like 7:45. I was just getting Emily down to the thing. We're in the elevator. The doors open. This mom, I swear to God, it was like an SNL skit. She had on like a trucker hat that said Dance Mom, blinged, like bedazzled t-shirt, I Heart Dance on the back, like Dance Mom 06. She's got like the cheetah bag and the shoes and like Dance Mom on the pants. I was like, holy crap. She walked in and I just looked at my daughter and I was like, I can't hold it in. Like I was
not wearing Kansas anymore.
It was, and the daughter, of course, had her costume on. She had like bright yellow bell bottom, little, and I was just like, I can't do this. I do not belong here.
That's how I feel when I'm there. I don't belong here. I don't fit in with the studio owners that are like hugging the curtain, fire breathing down their kids' neck. Like, I'm massively like, I get to competition. I've learned this from my husband, who obviously is a coach and therefore is in highly stressful games and all those situations, right? Like watching him with other parents, like I've been on the sideline, right? Like watching him coach. And the parents of these kids are like, why isn't he doing anything? Why is he just sitting there? And then like, I remember going home after the game saying like, why don't you say anything? Why don't you? And he's like, if I have to coach during the game, I'm not doing my job. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, that's what practice is for. He's like, when we get in the game, my job, they should be able to turn up, play the game. He's like, I'm there for guidance, but I'm not yelling out. He calls it like, it's like, like that game Twister.
Yeah.
Left foot, yellow, right, red. If you're having to do that in a game, you're not a good coach and you didn't do your job in practice. And I've taken that, like our dinner table conversations are very much like what happened at dance tonight, what happened at practice. We talk so much about our careers. And there's so much crossover that I'm kind of there too. Like, when I have a soloist and we're in the wing, like, I'm going to give you a big hug. I'm going to tell you I love you. And I'm going to say, hey, enjoy it. I'll see you on the other side. Because if I haven't already said everything I need to say in rehearsal, nothing I say in that moment is going to make an ounce of difference to what they go do on stage. Like when you see the groups of kids and they're all rehearsing at the side, 5, 6, and I'm like, what are you doing? Just be here. This is the fun. They've put in hours and hours of work. Just be.
I love that. Because I feel like that's applicable to even to parenting, honestly. Like as our kids are getting older and approaching college, it is kind of this idea of like, once we get there and they're about to walk out the door or you're about to launch them, it's like, if we haven't done our job over all of these years, now's not the time for us to cram it all down their throat as they're, setting up their dorm room or, looking at a college. And if we haven't done it already, it's not. I love that analogy though. Like it's so true. And it's not just true for coaching a sport or being a dance teacher. I think it's parenting, it's life in general. It's like if you haven't done the work when you get to game time, it's kind of like
the best thing as a parent. Like, you know, obviously you're in this realm now with Ruby, like getting the school report cards and stuff, like especially when they're in preschool, it's like, you know, they bring home their little coloring sheets and they're thinking that all day. And, you know, my favorite thing to hear about Isla is behaviorally what she's doing, how kind she is, that she's helping a friend, right? Like, and I think such a testament to parenting is, what do they do when you're not there? Like, when you're not there saying, say please, say thank you, make sure you're making your eye contact, and, you know, that like constant affirming your parenting. Like, well, do they do it when you're not there though? Because, right, like that's like the true test of like you said, like especially with you on the other end of the spectrum with like college kids, it's like, you know, what do they do now that you're not going to be there, you know, every second?
And it's, you know, as they're getting older, I know, you know, they're not gone yet. I'm not pushing them out the door. We're like, don't go. But as they've gotten older and I'm watching them in high school and middle school, and, you know, and we have such the juxtaposition with Ruby now being, she's not even 2. Like I said, we actually just had a vow renewal and this past weekend, and one thing I said to my husband and what I told everyone there was like, I just kept coming back to this thought of like, I love our life so much because I can look at our kids and it is overwhelming to be able to look at them and be like so proud of the humans they are, not just of what they do or what they say or the grades they get or the sports they participate in or the stages they're on. But you just look at them and you're like, gosh, we have like 5 awesome humans. And it's not just because of us, but you like, you know, you kind of go, okay, like I did something right, you know, and you want that for your dancers. You want that for your team. You want that for your kids. And,
well, it's your legacy. Your kids are your legacy. And so, like you just said, it's like, it's not just because of what we've done. Right? Like it's not just you and your husband that have shaped them. So it's like the people that you choose to be in your kid's life, are they people that you want leaving lasting impressions or leaving lasting marks? Because they're 2 different.
Yeah, that's so powerful too. And everything you've said about the way you approach your girls at the studio, not just your 2 little ones, but you know, is what people are you are investing. You are taking the investment people are giving you, and you are in turn investing back into these girls. And it's honestly so inspiring. I think you as a businesswoman, as a mom, as a leader, as a friend, like you are just such an inspiration. And I think, you know, we need to have more conversations like this just to show off honestly how awesome people like you are in our own backyards. And I think it's important for people to know that there's just such quality opportunity locally, and that if it exists here, it exists elsewhere, that to find the places you feel safe, to find the people that are going to take care of your investment and reinvest back into you, your family, your children. And that's what you're doing. And I think that's why you are so successful, because your heart comes through everything you're doing. Seriously, it's true. And I think it's not just I don't want to just be a billboard for rock dance, although I will be. But I do think that you are as an example of an entrepreneur, and not just of a, you know, people like to say like boss babe or like mompreneur and all that. It's like, no, you are an entrepreneur. And regardless if you're a man or a woman, the business that you are passionate about and you've put your blood, sweat, and tears and your heart and soul into is successful because of your heart and soul. And I think it's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy and proud to know you, because it's exciting to watch. I'm honored to be a small part of it as I as Ruby grows. And if she continues to dance, we'd love to be part of that family. And I selfishly really hope she loves it, because
she's real stinking cute. Me
and
too.
If she doesn't, I'd really I'll find a way to be there. Maybe I'll just join your mom gang.
Yeah, be my mom entourage. Yeah. Adults, can I pull you out of retirement?
Yeah. No, that's a no, but you do not want to pull me out of retirement. Thank you for being here. Great. Thank you for everything you're doing, and for the inspiration you are for all the young girls that you have in your realm at the studio, but hopefully that can see your example and learn from you beyond dancing. Because I think you're an incredible woman, and I'm excited to see how far you go. Not pushing you though. That's not pressure. Be content in the season you're in.
I'm content in the season I'm in. That's my current mantra.
Good.
I'm content where I am.
Good. And knowing that the next season might bring new and exciting things, which I'm sure it will, because you won't sit still.
I don't sit still for very long, and I don't settle for very long. But at this current time with 2 under 5-year-olds, it's time to just, take the gas off a little bit.
Well, thank you, my friend.
Thank you for having me. This was great.